Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Along with the Gods, The Last 49 Days. This movie is the sequel to Along with the God. Click on the right up corner to watch the video. This movie tells the story of one Grim Reaper who helps a man through his trials while his two colleagues help a former guardian on Earth. One by one, flashes of their past are revealed. What secrets have been kept all this time? Let's find out in Along with the Gods, The Last 49 Days. Along with the Gods, The Last 49 Days begins by showing Gangrym and the Grim Reapers who must fight to the death against a herd of sand soldiers and hell of filial impiety before finally King Yomar arrives and stops the battle. King Yomar and the prosecutors intend to punish Gangrym and the Grim Reapers for wreaking havoc in the afterlife by bringing with them the vengeful spirit they were supposed to exterminate. But Gangrym emphatically denies that Su Hong is not a vengeful spirit as alleged. According to him, Su Hong died before his life was over because someone had killed him, not by accident. Gangrym then pleads with King Yomar to allow him to investigate Su Hong's death. After considering his words that firmly risk his position as a Grim Reaper as well as his privilege to be reincarnated, King Yomar finally agrees to give Su Hong a chance to take part in the trial in hell and allow Gangrym and the Grim Reapers to reveal the cause of Su Hong's death. However, King Yomar then put forward other conditions. In the 49 days of Su Hong's trial, Gangrym and the Grim Reapers must bring with them one more spirit, which is an old man named Chun Sam who has passed his life limit because the god of the house Sung Ju protects him. Every Grim Reaper who was sent to take Chun Sam's life was always hindered by Sung Ju, whose strength far surpassed the Grim Reapers. After much deliberation, it's finally decided that Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun will take care of Chun Sam's spirit, while Gangrym will escort Su Hong to the trial in hell. In the human world, Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun observe Sung Ju and a boy named Yun Dong, Chun Sam's grandson. The god in human form looks very familiar with Yun Dong. While Sung Ju is out of the house, Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun decide to look for Sung Ju's true form at Chun Sam's house, which is said to be a pot. Later they will destroy in hopes of destroying Sung Ju and taking Chun's life. However, Heenwan Muk guessed the wrong pot, so in the end he and Sung Ju got into a fight and Sung Ju easily defeated him. Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun then apologized to the god while explaining the situation they were facing in the afterlife. But Sung Ju accidentally reveals that he knew the two of them when he was alive. Sung Ju then says that he will allow Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun to take Chun Sam's life when Yun Dong starts school in August or about 40 days from now. The god insists that he only cares about Yun Dong and doesn't want the child to suffer because if his grandfather died now, he would probably be very sad and frustrated, having no more family and relatives in his life. Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun return to the afterlife to tell Gangrym the requirements of the god Sung Ju, and because he is so strong, Heenwan Muk has a hard time defeating him. Gangrym seems unconcerned and tells his two Grim Reapers to think of another way so they can bring Chun Sam's spirit to the afterlife before the allotted time limit expires. After that, Gangrym feeds Su Hong to the giant fish so they can reach Hell of Injustice faster. On the way, they pass through the Hell of Idleness and take a closer look at how the lazy people of their lifetime had to keep running through the ages to avoid a giant grinding machine made of stone crushing them. Meanwhile, in the human world, the thugs ransack Chun Sam's house to collect the debt from the old geezer. The thugs manage to paralyze Sung Ju, who accidentally touches dirt which makes his body weak and loses strength. Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun then approach Sung Ju to offer a chance. The two will help Sung Ju find an orphanage or a suitable place to live for Yun Dong after his grandfather's death. They also promise to always look after Yun Dong until the child is truly independent. In return, Sung Ju has to tell the full story of their past because both Heenwan Muk and Dauk Chun have absolutely no memory of their lives before becoming the Grim Reaper. Because he is in a state of urgency, Sung Ju accepts an offer from them. After reaching an agreement, Heenwan Muk immediately beats up the thugs and Dauk Chun helps Yun Dong and his grandfather. After that, Sung Ju said that in the past, Heenwan Muk was the greatest warrior during the reign of the Goryeo dynasty who was nicknamed the White Wildcat. He is a warrior whose appearance is greatly feared by the enemies and is assigned to guard the royal borders in the north. He always wore a thick white fur scarf to cover his face when he slaughtered his enemies, thus earning such a nickname. Sung Ju then recounts how he started helping Yun Dong and his grandfather. Yun Dong's mother died after giving birth to the child and his father fled to the Philippines to escape gambling debts. Yun Dong was cared for by his grandfather since childhood and they are in danger of losing their homes due to failed bond investments and mounting debts. From then on, Sung Ju was determined to continue to protect Yun Dong and didn't want to make him sad or suffer. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, Gangrym tells Su Hong a glimpse of his past. Gangrym turns out to be the biological son of a highly respected general during the Goryeo dynasty. His father was highly respected for having a noble temperament. Gang Rim's father is very kind and always spares the lives of his enemies and lets them live their lives. One day, his father adopted a boy who had lost both his parents. Gradually, he becomes jealous of the boy because his father loves and cares for the child more than he is his own child. On the way, Gang Rim and Su-hong are confronted by a swarm of raptors that emerge from the ground. They immediately run away, but the raptors manage to surround them. Just as they were getting desperate, a T-Rex appeared and devoured the raptors mercilessly. However, they are not completely safe because T-Rex also tries to prey on them. Suddenly, a bigger dinosaur appeared and swallowed them alive. Gang Rim reveals that the herd of dinosaurs arose from the fear within Su-hong. But the dinosaurs that swallowed them apparently didn't mean to kill them, and instead led them to the next trial of hell. Elsewhere, Hyun-Wook and Deok-chun take Sung-ju and Yoon-dong to an orphanage. However, because they are not the legal guardians of Yoon-dong and cannot obtain a power of attorney from the child's guardian, the orphanage cannot accept him according to the applicable regulations. When Sung-ju was watching Deok-chun playing with the children, the god revealed that Deok-chun was also very considerate and loved the children in her village in her previous life. Sung-ju recounts, when the Goryeo soldiers attacked the village where Deok-chun lived, she tried to save the children in her village. She then took them to seek shelter in the middle of the forest so the soldiers could not find them. One day, when Deok-chun was looking for medicinal plants in the forest, a tiger attacked her. Luckily, at that time Hyun-Wook was nearby and saved her. Hyun-Wook was about to kill Deok-chun because she was an enemy, but after learning that Deok-chun had been taking care of orphan children, Hyun-Wook decided to spare his life and instead helped her take care of the children. A few days later, Sung-ju and the others are again looking for a way for Yoon-dong to stay in the orphanage. They make a false certificate in the civil registry stating Chun Sam's inability to care for a child due to his hearing problem. But their plan is caught by the officers there who suggest that they request Yoon-dong to be adopted. However, Chun Sam flatly refuses the option and insists that he will take care of Yoon-dong until the end of his life. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, Gang Rim and Su-hong have arrived at the Injustice Hell. The prosecutors immediately demand that Su-hong be locked up in a block of ice for 500 years for causing havoc in the human world and influencing the afterlife, for having a grudge against other people. Gang Rim then asks the judge to present Dong-yeon as a witness in the trial, even though he is currently being treated at the hospital for his injuries during a recent suicide attempt. The judge then summons Dong-yeon's spirit through dreamland. At first, Dong-yeon evades when Gang Rim asks him to tell the truth on the night of Su-hong's shooting, which is that he found out that Su-hong was still alive when they were about to bury him in the forest. But Gang Rim continues to force and intimidate Dong-yeon so that he feels guilty for Su-hong, who stands in front of him. Dong-yeon, who feels very depressed, then has a seizure and finally dies. Since the witness died before the evidence was available, the Injustice Hell judge decided to release Su-hong and allow him to proceed to the next trial. Arriving at the Hell of Violence, Gang Rim pleads with the judge to suspend Su-hong's trial and give him a chance to prove that his death wasn't an accident but that someone was intent on killing him. Gang Rim is even desperate to risk his own reincarnation right because he is so sure of it. Seeing Gang Rim's determination, the judge grants his request. Gang Rim then pleads with the judge to present Lieutenant Park and King Yomar as witnesses at the final trial in Murder Hell. Meanwhile, Sung-ju is getting ready to go to court to apply as the legal guardian of Yoon-dong, because it is the only way they can take to protect and guarantee his future after his grandfather's death later. Returning from court, Sung-ju and the others are shocked by the shattered state of Chun Sam's house and Yoon-dong crying at the sight of his unconscious grandfather. Soon enough, Sung-ju feels his body begin to lose strength because the people who ransacked Chun Sam's house have broken the jar that is his true form. In his last moments, Sung-ju says that Hyun-Wook is the one who killed Deok-chun's parents. To make amends, Hyun-Wook then teaches her how to survive and care for and protect the orphans. However, Hyun-Wook's actions in protecting children from his enemies are known to his superiors, often called Milgneg. Hyun-Wook and his troops were also considered traitors to the kingdom and were sentenced to execution by being fed to a pack of wild wolves in the forest. Hyun-Wook managed to save himself from the attack of the hungry wolves, even though he had to lose all his men. Without thinking, he went straight to Deok-chun's hideout in the middle of the forest. Arriving there and meeting with Deok-chun, Hyun-Wook admitted that he had killed her parents and the people in her village. He then apologized to her, even though he knew that his cruel act could not be forgiven easily. He then told Deok-chun to take the children to the mountains immediately because Milgneg's troops would head to this place and slaughter them all. Hearing Hyun-Wook's deep regret, Deok-chun then forgave him while hugging him and they parted with tears. However, when Hyun-Wook and Deok-chun were about to inquire about the end of their lives, Sung-ju's body had disappeared completely and Chun Sam's death note returned. Hienwonmuk then realizes the meaning of Sungju's last words about seeing everything upside down to find out the truth. It is revealed that Mildneg, who was Hienwonmuk's superior who had slaughtered his troops and killed him, was actually Gangrim. They've been together for 1,000 years carrying out their duties as the Grim Reapers. Hienwonmuk and Daokchun's memories of the end of their lives slowly recover. Just then, after Gangrim massacred Hienwonmuk for his betrayal, Daokchun suddenly came and stabbed Gangrim in the stomach. Without the slightest pity, Gangrim then brutally kills Daokchun. However, because Daokchun managed to injure him so fatally, Gangrim is dying. On the eve of his death, King Yomra and the Grim Reapers come to him and offer a deal so that Gangrim can atone for his sins and be reincarnated into whatever form he wants. Meanwhile, Gangrim and Suhong have arrived at Murder Hell. Gangrim then asks Lieutenant Park to reveal what happened on the night of Suhong's shooting, where he and Dongyeon find out that Suhong is actually still alive. But Lieutenant Park is speechless after coming face to face with Suhong. King Yomra arrives and Gangrim asks King Yomra to repeat what he said to Gangrim 1,000 years ago when he was dying before the judge of Murder Hell and the prosecutors. Unbeknownst to Gangrim, Daokchun and Hienwonmuk have returned to the afterlife and are now watching the trial from behind the rocks. It turns out that for 1,000 years as a Grim Reaper, Gangrim must atone for his sins by remembering all the events at the end of his tragic life. He has to live with deep regret for killing his own sister as well as an innocent girl. And to make him torment even more, he has to carry out his role as the Grim Reaper for 1,000 years with Hienwonmuk and Daokchun. However, the real reason King Yomra punishes Gangrim so severely is that he intentionally let his father die, just as Lieutenant Park knew that Suhong was still alive but deliberately let him die. Even though Gangrim regrets his actions in the end and returns to save his father, it's too late because his father has passed away. Gangrim reveals that since then he has felt a deep sense of guilt towards his father to this day. However, living for 1,000 years bearing those sins and regrets was nothing compared to the fact that he couldn't beg for forgiveness from his father and couldn't be forgiven was the greatest hell for him. That's why he doesn't want Lieutenant Park to suffer the same kind of pain he does. Lieutenant Park still has a chance to make amends and apologize to Suhong. Since Suhong has been proven dead because his partner killed him, the judge of Murder Hell ordered that him be reincarnated as soon as possible. After that, Gangrim, Hienwonmuk and Daokchun decided to take Chun Sam's life after Yoon-dong graduated from school. While waiting, they got the task of helping Dongyeon's spirit who was already at the gate of the hereafter and escorted him throughout the trial of hell. Gangrim tries to admit his guilt to Hienwonmuk and Daokchun, but they both agree not to bring it up and forget the tragedy of 1,000 years ago because they have forgiven him. On the other hand, when Suhong was about to be reincarnated, King Yomra offered him a deal to work with him. The film ends with a pre-credits scene showing King Yomra summoning the spirit of Gangrim's father, Gang Moon-jik, and offering his position as King Yomra to rule over the afterlife for 1,000 years. Gang Moon-jik accepts the offer, but on the condition that he is allowed to maintain the appearance of the current King Yomra.